Stu Cohen, our news director, is in the studio. It's pretty cool. Stu has a book out. I have it in front of me, and I made the link available through star105.com. The WYEN experience. And I think anyone that is a radio fan will enjoy this book. And I guess, Stu, the first thing is explain for people that might not be familiar with WYEN, the background, a little bit of a history, a snapshot there.
Right. Well, WYN was a radio station back in the 1970s that some people remember as request radio, where they played a lot of request songs. But it was a 70s station, because by 1985, it really ceased to exist. But the key to it was that a lot of very successful broadcasters today started out at that radio station.
That's what's cool. What's cool. So the book is the WYEN experience. I put a link up on the Facebook and star105.com. As I'm reading through the book, see, I love radio, obviously, so I'm going to be into this. But I think people can get an appreciation for where a lot of the men and women you hear on Chicago radio have come from, plus the technological advances that radio has made, Stu, over the years that you've been privy to be able to see that happen. And let's step back for a second, because FM radio, when WYEN came on, that was relatively new. People might not be familiar with the history. A lot of the music you heard was on WLS or WCFL, those stations.
The AM stations.
Yeah, AM stations. And then here comes this FM station that you were fortunate enough to be part of.
That's right. And you know, that what you mentioned about the technical aspect of it, you know, a lot of people today, you know, fooling around with their cell phones, their smartphones, digital, all those kinds of things. Didn't have any of that back in those days. I mean, this was right before the change in technology. And that's what makes it really interesting, because we did everything by hand. I mean, we with tape. We had to edit tape with grease pencils and razor blades. And so everything was so much harder. But it was also very interesting, and it was right before the changes.
So right now, Stu Cohen's talking about his book, WYEN Experience. It sounds like you're doing the I walked uphill both ways.
I really did. Think about it.
You kind of were doing that, which is fine. I have an appreciation for that, where you guys came from. So who are some of the names mentioned in the book? Because I know, just flipping through, you talked to a lot of the people that came through that station.
Yes, I did. I found, I would say, about 90% of the people. Because, I mean, we're talking about the 1970s. I had to go back in time to find a lot of these people from all over the country. And of course, one of the easiest people to find was Gary Meyer. Because he's been,
he's on WGN,
his name's been everywhere.
So, right, of course.
Yeah, so Gary was really easy to find, and I did his news years ago. And so it was easy to track him. Now, also another easy person to find, Bob Roberts at WBBM.
Of course. He's been doing his thing for years. Right. Whenever you hear him on BBM, that's him. He's in his car, that cruiser, going around covering stories. That's what you guys did. He still does it. He's kind of a throwback when it comes to news on the radio. He gets out there, he reports, though I'm sure he has his laptop now and his cell phone, Stu. So the book is called The WYEN Experience. It's a really easy read, Stu. You've got a lot of great stories, I think. As a news guy, you know, here we are doing the show all morning. The news guy's kind of out there. He sees everything that's going on all the time. So he's the guy.
He always lays low until,
He's the guy that's going to write the book. And we talk about in this book, what I really get excited about is when you talk about the advances in technology. There was a crash it was Milwaukee Airport, which was the Chicago Regional Airport at the time. You covered it, and they had, Stu had to run around and find a phone booth to call in.
I had to find a phone.
What was happening.
Didn't have a phone, because we really didn't have them back in those days, where you could pick, grab it, put it back in your pocket. And so I had to find that, and so I had to think, well, am I going to go back to the station? Do I find a payphone? And there were times where I was covering, like, a fire, for example. I was in line to use the payphone. Can you hurry up with your report? I got to get it on the air.
It's like the whole bank of phones where everyone's waiting to get the hot tip into the radio station.
Exactly.
The WYEN Experience is the name of it. Before we wrap up, a couple of things. First off, Stu, that voice that you have right now, I like how you cover. Stu talks about how he was so nervous to go on here.
I know.
Can you imagine, Stu? Listen to the pipes on this guy.
I know, Stu.
And
you're a pro.
You were nervous, Stu? You were nervous?
I was so nervous that I didn't even know what hyperventilating was all about. I was sucking in air, and I was getting dizzy. It was just a 5-minute newscast.
Yeah, but that's it. You get tight. We've all been there before.
Yeah, your face gets all red. You're sweating.
couldn't breathe. I thought I was going to die right there.
And truly what Stu does, and to read the book, and he took a lot of time to write this book, and it's very detailed.
3 years.
By the way, your son is like a spitting image of you. I'm looking at some of these pictures.
Yes, he is.
Some of these pictures in the book, Stu, of you and your son, the WYEN experience. I linked it from star105.com, keyword Joe. I don't want to give too much away on it. I want people to grab it, but the Shirley Temple, he got to interview Shirley Temple.
Yes.
That story alone.
That's amazing.
I will tell you, Stu, I have the goosebumps talking about it. I think that was maybe one of my favorite parts of the book. Very well written, my friend. Very well written.
I really appreciate your taking time to look at it.
I'm impressed. Now, did you sign the book for me yet, or what, Stu?
I hope I did.
Did you sign it yet, Stu? He did. He signed it.
He will
relief.
sign
I thought
it.
you did. I thought you did. Well, no, I
Stu,
appreciate
we're very
it.
proud of you.
Thank you so
The
much.
WYEN experience, I mean, this guy, what he does on a daily basis, the local radio that we do, we get excited about to talk McHenry County, and for him to kind of catalog the coming up, and he gets into the WZSR days in here as well. It's kind of cool, but anyone who likes radio wants to check it out. Stu Cohen, our news director, author.
Oh, thank you.
Now your
Stu
next
Cohen.
one, can you mention us in it, please, Stu?
Well, the next one's actually going to be a movie. It's actually going to be a TV
Come
movie.
on,
Okay,
Tina. Come on. We had, the podcast for this would have been perfect until the end.
I had to get
When
it in
Tina's
there.
like, Stu,
She
it's
actually asked
okay.
a good question. The next one's actually a TV movie.
All
There
right,
we
Stu,
go.
I got it. I love
TV
it.
movie about Tina Brady.
How about Tina?
Yeah,
Starts
right.
with high heels.
That's going to be perfect. Thank you, Stu.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Good job, man.